All right, so today we are going to look more into y equals mx plus b, the equation of a line. All right, we're going to look more into y equals mx plus b, and we'll learn how to solve them and how to identify the different parts. Couple of the things on the success criteria that we're going to be looking at is mostly just to extend our knowledge of y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to go ahead and share this whiteboard right here. And I'm going to draw two graphs and two things that I want us to realize. Oh, that one is not, that ain't gonna work. We got this graph. All right, and I got my y line and my x-axis. And let's do this graph as well. Actually, I'm going to write it in green as well. Right? And then this is the y, this is the x. So two things I want us to realize about the slope. Remember we were looking at, I'm going to write this down here as well. Y equals mx plus b. All right? M is the slope. M is the slope. And it kind of tells where the line is going, like the direction of the line. And then B is the y-intercept. And this tells where on the y line does the line cross. A couple things I want us to recognize. When my graph is this direction, it is positive. My slope is going to be positive. So this m number right here will be positive. When my graph goes this direction, I hope you realize that they're going two different directions. When they go this direction, then my slope will be negative. So my m value will be negative. All right? That's just the basics of the equation of the line. We could figure out if m is positive or m is negative without even plotting the numbers or figuring out what numbers it goes down by or to the right by. All right, let's look at the finding the slope. So the slope is defined by the rise over the run, or we could say y over x. The slope is the constant of proportionality. All right, so let's put this graph right here. Por ejemplo, for example, I have a line, cero. I have a line. My y-intercept is 0 because it goes through the 0 position. But we say this point right here is 2. We could say this is 1. And then there's this point right here. We could say this is 4. And then this is 2. All right. Now, my job is to see what is the rise over the run. So I'm going to go from here, and I realize that it went up 2. So that's the rise. It went up 2 before it went across 1. It went up 2 before it went across 1. So then I know its rise is 2, run is 1. So then my slope is 2, because 2 over 1 is 2. All right. If I was going to write this equation in the y equals mx plus b form, which is also known as the slope intercept form, because it addresses the slope and it addresses the intercept. So that's 2. So then my equation would be y equals 2x, because my slope is 2, and then I put my x back, plus My y-intercept is 0. It goes through the 0 point right here. But do I really have to put that 0? No. So it's y equals 2x. If I look at this, then I could say, oh, okay, this has a y-intercept 0. All right, that's just one example. I find the rise over the run. And I realized that's the same thing from 2 to 4. I went from 2 to 4, which went up 2, and then I went over and it went down and it went over 2. All right, so then my answer becomes 4 over 2. All I really got to do is look at the numbers where it crosses, the line crosses. We're going to do some examples so that we could get more familiar with it. All right, so let's look at this one more, this other example. And I want to, let's go here. There it is. And let's say the line goes this way. So look at this graph. Is this going to be a negative graph or a positive graph? Go ahead and put your answers in the chat so I could see. Is this going to be a negative graph or a positive graph? Just from looking at it. Negative, because graphs that go that way are negative. Graphs that go the other way, positive. Come through with the negative answers in the chat. Okay. All right. So right here, so let's say this is 0.4. I don't know. This is 2. All right. I'm going to say this goes to 1. All right. And then there's this point right here. This is 2. I actually want to see, could you put in the chat, tell me what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept. And the survey says the y-intercept is 4. Perfect. All right. I want to also ask us, this is not, we are not going to use this to make the line of the equation, but I want us to acknowledge it as well. So tell me from this graph, what is the x-intercept? The survey says, I'm going to need everybody to start sending stuff to the chat, okay? Because then I know what's happening if I need to go over something or whatever. The survey says it's positive 2. All right, I saw someone said a negative 2 in the chat, but it went through right here. It went through 2. All right, so it's positive 2. That's the x-intercept. I'm going to go back to this right here. Whenever I said if the graph is going that way, it's positive. If it's going that way, it's negative. All right, when I say that, that only affects the slope. All right, it affects the slope only. All right, so if this is a positive graph, then my slope will be positive. If it's a negative graph, then my slope will be negative. It does not affect my y-intercept. All right. Yes, so let's go back to here where we're at. Right here. Now, what is my, so with this graph, we know it's going to be negative, right? It's a negative graph. So how do I write my slope? My slope is equal to my rise over run. Cool. So with this, I go down 2 over 1. Yep. I go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. Are we seeing that? My slope is negative 2. Because I go from 4 to 2, so that's 2. And then I go over 1 before it hits another point. And then from here, I go down 2 again before I get over to another point. And the points that I'm talking about are the points that are on the line. So I go down 2 and over 1 before I get from this point to this point. I have to go down 2 and over 1 again to get from this point to this point. But this time it's negative. So my answer is -2. Again, I'm trying to see what do I have to do to get from the pink point to the green point. And then I'm going to test it again to see what do I have to do from the green point to this black point right here. In order to get from the pink to the green, I have to go down 2, because this is 4 and this is 2. I have to go down 2 and over 1. All right, and then I have to, from green to black, I have to go down 2 and over 1. So then my equation is y equals -2x. And we said that the y-intercept was 4 plus 4. Remember, the y-intercept goes here, not the x. I only had this here just so we could look at it, because you might be asked what is the x-intercept at some point. But the x-intercept, it's not, we're not going to use it to write this equation. So let's look at this example. Let's look at the points again. I'm going to put some colors on it. So I'm going to put a dark blue point right here. And I'm going to put a dark green point right here. And then I'm going to put a yellow point right here. Not sure you'll be able to see it. Yep. So I have to, in order to get the slope, I have to really look at what do I do from blue to get to green point? What do I have to do from the blue point to get to green point? I have to go up 2 and over 1. Rise over run. So I have to go up 2 over 1. And it's the same thing with this. I have to go up 2 and over 1 in order to get that. All right. I have a question in the chat, so I'm going to read it. So does it matter if it is on the positive quadrant? If it is facing that way, the slope is negative. It doesn't matter what quadrant it is. As long as it's facing this way, you're going to have a negative graph. If you're facing that way, it's going to have a positive graph. So could you go into the chat? I'm going to give you one more example, but could you go into the chat and let me know how you're feeling about writing the equation of a linear graph. How do you feel about it when it comes to the slope? Be specific. I want you to tell me what you understand about the slope, and I want you to tell me what you understand about finding the y-intercept. If you could only find the y-intercept, let me know. I only understand the y-intercept. If you feel like you're getting the slope, but you just need more practice, let me know. Just be specific with what you are sending. I'm going to put one more example up here while I look at the chat. Okay. And I'm going to use a different quadrant because I got the question about the quadrant. Cool. Seems like a lot of people are saying that more practice will be good. Let's do this. And let's look at this line. There's that line right there. And let's say this point right here is -3, right? And let's say this right here is let's say this right here is what? 3, let's say go up. This is going to be 1 point. Let's say this right here is 3. Right? Let's see right here. Cool. Thank you for your responses. From this graph, could you tell me if it's going to be positive or negative? Yep. I'm just gonna match up some points. Let's say this is 3, this is 6. From this graph, could you tell me what the y-intercept is? The y-intercept. Where does it cross the y-axis? Where does it cross the y-axis? Right here is this right here is the y-axis. This is right here is the x-axis. Where does this green line cross the y-axis? The green line, where does it cross the y-axis? So I have y equals mx plus b. -3. This is the y-axis right here, and the green line crosses it at -3. So then I'm going to go ahead and put it in my equation. Y equals mx plus -3. But I know that a negative times a positive is negative. So I could really just write y equals mx minus 3. Now I need to find what m is. And I already know that m is going to be positive. So I need to connect and find my points. How long does it take me to get from this brown point? Sorry, I made it pink. This brown point right here to this blue point. And then this red point. So I go from here. In order to get up here, I have to go up 3. I'm going up 3 because -3, -2, -1, 0. Up 3, but then I have to go over 3. So my slope says up 3, up 3 over 3, which is 1. From this point to this point is up 3 over 3. That's 1. Now let's check from this point, blue point, to this red point right here. Consider that I'm already over. I'm not on this line anymore. I'm already over from the y-axis. So in order to get up to this part of the line, I have to go up 3. From here to here is going to be 3. But in order to get from 3 to 6, I have to go over 3 as well. So from here to here is also 3 over 3, which is 1. I'm just checking several points. All right. I'm just checking from brown to blue, from blue to red. I don't have to check several points because I know it's a straight line and I know it's going to be consistent. It's always going to be 1 on this line. No matter what point from what point I go to, it's always going to be 1 because it's a linear line. And m is the constant. I could have just done from brown to blue, which I would have seen that it was 1. So I have to go up 3 and over 3 to get from brown to blue. In order to get from blue to red, I have to go up 3 and over 3. So then I'm going to put 1 in as my slope. So y is equal to 1x minus 3. Or I could just write y equals x minus 3. Those are just some quick examples. We're going to do some more practice on this. We're actually going to spend the entire class time doing this stuff so we could get better at it.